Good morning. This is White Raptor News Ministries. All praise and glory to the Supreme Spirit of Truth, the Living One, the author of life, the perpetual force that moves all things in place, the all you can see and all you cannot see, the visible and invisible, the perpetual force. All praise and glory. Good morning. It's Saturday, Sabbath day, 8:06 for Israel. The beautiful children of the Most High, Spirit of the Living, Master of the Universe. Give praise to your Creator. It's amazing that there's something out there and it doesn't believe, atheists don't believe that they're creations or don't believe in the existence of a God. It's pretty evident to me that there is, absolutely, without a question of a doubt. And something has encapsulated our souls, our spirits, our living spirit, our light in a flesh suit. So we're here at 1 Kings chapter 7. Solomon builds his temple. Now, isn't that kind of like an odd title for this chapter? Solomon builds his temple. Why not Israel's temple? Why is it that people can't see that some others just happen to live these wonderful lives, have everything that's given to them, in complete control and power? Do you think these people ever get angry? Or are they just continuously laughing at you behind the scenes? Something to consider. Anyways, I think it would be the children of Israel's temple, their palace. After all, they're the ones that built it. So it took Solomon 13 years, however, to complete the construction of his palace. He built the palace of the forest of Lebanon, 100 cubits long, 50 wide, and 30 high, with 4 rows of cedar columns supporting trimmed cedar beams. It was roofed with cedar above the beam, the rest that rested on the column. 45 beams, 15 to a row. Its windows were placed high in sets of 3, facing each other. All the doorways had rectangular frames. They were in the front part in sets of 3, facing each other. He made a colonnade 50 cubits long and 30 wide. In front of it was a portico, and in front of that were pillars and an overhanging roof. You know, just off base right here, this word here, portico, I wrote a book a long time ago, a vampire book. I never knew what this word was, but I used it as a slang word in my book as a piece of shit, right? When this guy says, take a hike, you portico. So it's used as slang in my book, and just thought I'd point that out. That's kind of funny. I see that word in there. In front of that were pillars and an overhanging roof. He built the throne hall, the hall of justice, where he was to judge, and he covered it with cedar from floor to ceiling. And the palace in which he was to live, set further back, was similar in design. Solomon also made a palace like this hall for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had married. Pharaoh is Egyptian. So Solomon married an Egyptian woman, which would mean intermingling between the tribes, between Babylon, because Israel, Pharaoh's Babylon, America's Babylon. You got to understand that these are metaphors and parables, and they're telling you who it is in the Bible if you pay close attention. If you just listen, like when you read a Bible and you're like, that just makes no sense at all, because believe me, if you're reading a Bible, it happens all the time, you know. because the Bible is a riddle. It was made that way. Whom he had married. All these structures, from the outside to the great courtyard and from the foundations to eaves, were made of blocks of high-grade stone, cut to size and smoothed on their inner and outer faces. The foundations were laid with large stones of good quality, some measuring 10 cubits and some 8. Above were high-grade stones, cut to size, and cedar beams. The great courtyard was surrounded by walls of 3 courses of dressed stones and 1 course of trimmed cedar beams, as was the inner courtyard of the temple of the Lord with its portico. The temple's furnishings. King Solomon sent to Tyre and brought Hiram, whose mother was a widow from the tribe of Naphtali, and whose father was from Tyre, and a skilled craftsman in bronze. Hiram was filled with wisdom, with understanding, and with knowledge to do all kinds of bronze work. He came to King Solomon and did all the work assigned to him. He cast 2 bronze pillars, each 18 cubits high and 12 cubits in circumference. He also made 2 capitals of cast bronze to set on top of the pillars. Each capital was 5 cubits high. A network of interwoven chains adorned the capital on top of the pillars, 7 for each capital. He was pomegranates in 2 rows, encircling each network to decorate the capital on top of the pillars. He did the same for each capital. The capitals on top of the pillars in the portico were in the shape of lilies, 4 cubits high. On the capitals of both pillars, above the bowl-shaped part next to the network, were the 200 pomegranates in rows all around. He erected, he erected the pillars at the portico of the temple. The pillar to the south he named Jachan, and one to north Boaz. The capitals on top were in the shape of lilies, and so the work on the pillars was completed. He made the sea of cast metals, circular in shape, measuring 10 cubits from rim to rim and 5 cubits high. It took a line of 30 cubits to measure around it. Below the rim, gourds encircled it, 10 to a cubit. The gourds were cast in 2 rows in one piece with the sea. The sea stood on 12 bulls, 3 facing north, 3 facing west, 3 facing south, and 3 facing east. The sea rested on top of them, and their hind quarters were towards the center. It was a hand breadth in thickness, and its rim was like the rim of a cup, like a lily blossom. It held 2,000 baths. Wow. You know, when I hear this explanation, you know what it looks like to me? I don't know, when I hear him explaining the 4 bulls at the corner, I think of this. I don't know why, I just do. I mean, I know there's probably no correlation to that, but this is more likely what it is we live in, folks. We live in a little punch bowl, and what you see right here, this little white outline right there, that there would be the ice wall. Only it would probably be much thicker. It would probably come out here a little bit more. It's probably like 2,000 or 3,000 miles to the ice shelf. But for some reason, when I read that, that's what I think of. The sea rested on top of them. He also made 10 movable stands of bronze. Each was 4 cubits long, 4 wide, and 3 high. This is how the stands were made. They had side panels attached to uprights. On the panel between the uprights were lions, bulls, and cherubim, and on the uprights as well. Above and below the lions and bulls were wreaths of hammered work. Each stand had 4 bronze wheels with bronze axles, and each had a basin resting on 4 supports. cast with wreaths on each side. On the inside of the stand, there were an opening that had a circular frame 1 cubit deep. This opening was round, and with its base work, it measured 1.5 cubits. Around its opening, there was engraving. The panels of the stand were square, not round. The 4 wheels were under the panels, and the axles of the wheels were attached to the stand. The diameter of each wheel was 1.5 cubits. The wheels were made like chariot wheels, and axles, rims, spokes, and hubs were all of cast metal. And you know what this sounds like to me? If I must be frank, if I'm going out on a limb like I always do, and I would say that this sounds like the work of Ezekiel's wheel. You know, when I look at this artwork and stuff, I don't know what it says to you guys, but anything that looks like this to me says that it's machinery. Okay? This is machinery. The opening. All right? And this is what it sounds like to me. Though it said that there were 4, it just... right here. There you go. That's what it sounds like to me. Isn't this a peculiar picture? I mean, it almost looks like a spaceship, doesn't it? Very odd. But these are the kind of things that ring in my head when I'm reading the scriptures and stuff. Things that stand out to me. Am I right? No, I don't know that I'm right or wrong. I'm just pointing out to you that this is what it sounds like to me. Rims, spokes, and hubs were all cast of metal. Each stand had 4 handles, 1 on each corner, projecting from the stand. At the top of the stand, there was a circular band 0.5 cubit deep. The supports and panels were attached to the top of the stand. He engraved cherubim, lions, and palm trees on the surface of the supports and on the panels, in every available space, with wreaths all around. This is the way he made the 10 stands. They were all cast in the same molds and were identical in size and shape. He then made 10 bronze basins, each holding 40 baths and measuring 4 cubits across, 1 basin to go on each of the 10 stands. He placed 5 of the stands on the south side of the temple and 5 on the north. He placed the sea on the south side at the southeast corner of the temple. He also made the pots and shovels and sprinkling bowls. So Hiram finished all the work he had undertaken for King Solomon in the temple of the Lord. The 2 pillars, the 2 bowl-shaped capitals on top of the pillars, the 2 set of network decorating the 2 bowl-shaped capitals on top of the pillars, the 400 pomegranates for the 2 sets of networks, 2 rows of pomegranates for each network decorating the bowl-shaped capital on top of the pillars. The 10 stands were with 10 basins, the sea and the 12 bowls under it, the pot, shoveled, and sprinkled bowls. All these objects that Hiram made from King Solomon for the temple of the Lord were of burnished bronze. The king had them cast in clay molds in the plain of the Jordan between Succoth and Zarethan. Solomon left all these things unweighed because there were so many. The weight of the bronze was not determined. Solomon also made all the furnishings that were in the Lord's temple, the golden altar, the golden table on which was the bread of the presence, I was thinking here, the golden table on which was the bread of presence, the golden altar. You know, do you really think that the Spirit, the Supreme Spirit, folks, needs an altar or anything at all? Do you think the Supreme Spirit, the living Spirit, needs to have money, wealth? Come on, you're looking at something that owns everything. It's the Creator, okay? And you're going to say that the Creator needs to have 10% given back? I'm not buying into it, folks. I don't buy into that garbage. I don't buy into any tidings. I believe that that's just the way to give your money up, man. I've never asked for a penny on this channel from anybody. It's just tidings to me sounds like a political shit show, to be honest with you. I mean, folks, we're in a world that's plummeting. It's hard enough for us to survive in this shithole without giving, 10% of your money away to a crook inside of a church. And that's the way I see it. I see them as crooks. Now, are all of them crooks? No, probably not. There's probably a very small elect that, do the work of the Supreme Spirit of Truth. These people that do the work for the Lord, their Lord are many different lords, okay? You got to understand that there is a Supreme Spirit outside of itself that created both good and evil, okay? It is absolutely the one that plays all the strings. It's the one that commands everything, and it does it through thought. What the Creator has done is He's made you forget where you've come from. He's put blinders on your eyes and allows you to live this life in the flesh, and then He created something in the flesh. He permitted an energy force, a spiritual being, to make this material world. He allowed Elohim. Elohim is not the Supreme Spirit. I've showed you this many, many times. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, Bible Hub. This God here in the beginning is Elohim, and it's not the Supreme God. It's something that is used of the Supreme God. Here, used, but specifically used. So the Spirit used this God here to create the heaven and the earth, right? That's how I read it. That's how I understand it. It's gods, it's plural. In the ordinary sense, these are ordinary gods. You're an ordinary God. I'm an ordinary God. We are ordinary gods. Jesus said, "Is it not written in your law that I have said ye are gods?" John 10:34. Jesus answered them, "Is it not written in your law? I said ye are gods." Jesus said that we are gods. Jesus said we are gods. Jesus said it, not me. I'm not telling you. Jesus said that you're a god. So this is how we get to gods in the plural right here, because we're ordinary. Okay, we're not supreme. We're something used. All of us is to the glory of the Supreme Spirit. Everything is used for the Supreme Spirit's glory. Absolutely. When I think of the Supreme Spirit, I'm in awe of the power Spirit possesses and ordains and gives. That's what you got to understand. The Supreme Spirit ordains all power. So when it says God Elohim, and I watched a video the other day about it from a channel, and oh, by the way, I had a beautiful lesson set up. I'd been working on this lesson for probably a week. You see how I have windows and stuff open like this? I do this through the course of the week. I watch so much content through the course of the week. And then I come and I'm going to make these videos so that you guys can see stuff like this. Let's go ahead and listen to one.
Because you don't own your child, you sign them away using a signature. You've been lied to about the parents are a pair who rents. Because you don't own your child, you sign them away using a signature. You signed your nature with a sigil. Sigil is a symbol used in witchcraft. Oh my God! You are born into this world, and the word born comes from barren, which means lifeless, dull, and boring. Then you are controlled by the government, the governmentality. They control your mind. Everything physical began as a thought in the thinking mind. The mind is the root cause of reality, so they control your mind, not your body. They do this by broadcasting spells to north, east, west, and south, the news. My God! Wow! Then they teach you the vowels in this specific order, A, E, I, O, U. To teach you that you owe them to become a slave. You are weak in the weekdays because you are working. Where you were a king, you are no longer a king if you are working. Then on the weekend, you are weakened from the weekdays. Days is a daze where you are in a state of confusion. The television is used to tell a vision, to program you on the programs. They want you to think slaughter is laughter, hello is hell is low. Words are swords because they mold your mind. They also create three-dimensional sound waves which impacts the fabric of matter.
Taurus. What does it stand for? The Taurus is our Taurus field. Our Taurus field is the torso. Everything, the heart, the heartbeat of life. The heartbeat of life, and rearrange the words and you have earth. Folks, I've been studying this stuff. I love these kinds of shorts. I know all this stuff. I'm not so great at articulating it, but this book here, I would suggest, if you want wisdom, to go out and read this book.
I believe that we were never meant to use words. Language has been manipulated so that we no longer use telepathy. Because
I've told you that language is the mark of the beast. We come from pure light, where he just said it. Telepathy is how we spoke. We spoke mentally through the mind. We've been captured in a flesh suit, and the brain, which is flesh, the mind is spirit. They're two different entities. There's two differences, folks. You got to understand that.
Because we are all connected on the mental plane. We still have telepathic powers, which we call intuition. Parents, you've been lied to about the pineal gland. The pineal gland is not the third eye. Keep swiping if you don't want your mind to be altered, because this is going to blow your mind. Pineal gland has phytoluminescent crystals on it. Radios use crystals. Crystals and radios are used to receive frequencies. Every radio station is playing on a specific unique frequency. All of the radios are playing in the air right now. The radio uses crystals to tune into that specific frequency, which tunes into a specific radio channel. Your pineal gland is the same thing. God is pure consciousness. We are all extensions of God's consciousness. Each one of us is a specific frequency being picked up from the source consciousness. Here's 0.1.
Look at that picture. Right here, folks. Smart city. You see, we're energy, pure energy, all right? And we're trapped inside of a flesh suit, and they're using technology to hijack our flesh suit. They use our flesh suit. You need to take it back. We're nothing but holograms. It's the same thing, folks. You have to get out of what it is that we've all been taught. So this is an energy field. Consciousness comes from the mind. And in order to get back to spirit, you have to deny the physical world. You have to want to leave this place. It's that simple.
00.2, 00.3. The pineal gland is a radio receiver for your individual consciousness.
It's also the Ark of the Covenant, which fires off neurons between the pituitary gland and the pineal gland. All right. And what it's firing off is a chemical that's produced inside of the brain, which is called dimethylene tryptamine. Dimethyltryptamine in medical terms is considered DMT. DMT is what creates our illusion in this world that we live in. It's what the brain produces, dimethyltryptamine, and between the pineal gland and the pituitary gland fires off neurons. These neurons are what fire off the DMT, and it gives us our hallucination.
Essentially, we are all God experiencing itself in a physical form. The third eye is the mind. You look with the two eyes and you see with the inner eye. This is what gives you perception.
This is why Jesus says, if your eye be single, okay, you got to understand, because the eyes that we see with are not, in this reality construct, are not the true eye that we see with. This is why your eye must be single.
Do you not know that you are the temple of God? Corinthians 3:16. You are all the I am, the eye of consciousness. I resembles the number 1, which is one line. Number 1 is the only true number. Everything goes up in ones. Religions were made to externalize God, hide your power.
So we're just going to leave it at that right there. Bread of presence, the lampstands of pure gold, 5 and right, 5 to the left, in front of the inner sanctuary. The gold floral work and lamps and tongs. The pure gold basins, wick trimmers, sprinkling bowls, dishes, and censers. And the gold sockets for the doors of the innermost room, the most holy place, and also for the doors of the main hall of the temple. So here's something for you to consider here. 1 Kings 8:27, Bible Hub, says, But will God indeed dwell upon the earth? Even heaven, the highest heaven, cannot contain you, much less this temple I have built. Much less this temple that Solomon has built, okay, cannot contain God. How can this be the most holy place when the Supreme Spirit is holy and omnipotent and all-present everywhere? So therefore, everything that is of the Spirit is holy, and nothing can be contained. King James Bible. But will God indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, the heavens and heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. So not even the heavens of heaven can contain the Spirit, because the Spirit is everywhere. The Spirit is thought. I mean, it's so mind-blowing for me today to know that there's a Spirit out there that is just, wow, created good and evil, gave you a choice, allows you to walk your path, allows you to go through all the hell that's on this earth here in order to come back to Him. But some people, they never figure it out. They never figure it out. So behold, the heaven and heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I have built. Yeah, folks, I think I'm on a different level when it comes to reading this Bible today. All praise and glory to the Supreme Spirit for that. Okay, most high holy place, and also for the doors of the main hall of the temple. When all the work King Solomon had done for the temple of the Lord was finished, he brought in the things his father David had dedicated, the silver and gold and the furnishings, and he placed them in the treasuries of the Lord's temple. I hope you all enjoyed the lesson. All praise and glory to the Supreme Spirit of Truth. Oh, also, folks, when you see ads like this, stop giving your money away to these people. You understand? It would be better off for you, seriously. Now, a friend of mine would probably oppose what I'm going to say right now, but it would be better off for you to go out and to buy somebody a burger, all right, than to send your money to collection agencies like this, because they are crooks, folks. Okay, you could send them $100 million, man. I shit you not when I tell you 99 million of it's going to go in their pocket. 1 million of it'll go into donations. This is why they called it the March of Dimes, because for every dollar that you donated, a dime went to the March of Dimes. The other 90% that Jerry Lewis used to deal with on his shows, his Sunday morning collection shows for the hospitals and stuff, where the March of Dimes was all shadow-based scams. It's all a shit show. Don't donate your money. If you want to do something good for somebody, go out and buy a homeless person a blanket, buy him a new pair of shoes, feed him a meal, give him $100, but stop giving your money away to organizations, to corporations. The corporations are of the dead. That's why the word corpse is in the word corporation, because the corporation is a ghost. Anyways, have a beautiful day. This is White Raptor News Ministries.